as we are just about ready, as Anthony Lynn, year 2 at the helm of the Chargers, has Los Angeles back in the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, 2013. And of course, all the media reports around Vance Joseph saying that this could very well be his final game as Broncos head coach, his second season coming to a very disappointing finish here in Denver. We'll have more on Vance Joseph as the day goes on. So we are ready. Brandon McManus, who kicked the game-winning field goal the last time these two teams met, will do the honors as we are off and running here in Denver. Week 16 and a little short onside surprise kick to get it going. Chargers were prepared as Brandon Faison, I beg your pardon, was there to jump on the football. So Anthony Lynn and company breathed a sigh of relief, and here comes Philip Rivers, the future Hall of Famer. Had what was his worst game, Adam, of the season last week in the home loss to the Ravens.
But both he and this offense have been superb this season, and they've had a tough stretch here, but have played some good football here at the end. This is a great opportunity to clean up some problems they've had in the offense, namely with their protection, as they get ready for the playoffs next week.
208th straight start for Philip Rivers as he continues his NFL record for a quarterback. This is Melvin Gordon's second game since returning from his knee injury, the MCL that cost him 3 weeks. Tackled on the play by Josie Jewell for Denver. A look at the starters. Offensive line was something that Anthony Lynn told us yesterday was a group that struggled last week and really the last couple of weeks.
Well, you look at it, and in the Kansas City game, they gave up 4 sacks in the first half, and a lot of that was because they didn't have an answer for Chris Jones. Last week, it was a physical, blitzing Baltimore defense that really did a good job of disguising their looks in their pre-snap alignments.
Rivers, who threw an interception on his first pass of the game last week, fires, and it's incomplete, intended for Keenan Allen. There's a late flag thrown as Allen locked up with Bradley Roby to start this game. Roby has struggled a little bit, first year as their full-time starter at cornerback.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
All right, that's John Parry, our referee today, in the defensive penalty against Vance Joseph's defensive unit, a unit that has really been up and down. Of course, no Chris Harris Jr., that broken fibula that he sustained against Cincinnati back in Week 13, such a huge loss. As the Chargers get a fresh set of downs, and we'll have it from the Denver 43.
Somebody's got to, okay, there he is. Melvin Gordon split out near the sideline to Rivers' right.
Gordon, top of your picture. Here is Rivers back to the air on first down. That pass incomplete through the hands of the former Denver Bronco Virgil Green, who had some pointed comments for his old organization here. Said that he felt underappreciated by the organization, the former 7th-round pick. And that's one he would look to have back.
Yeah, doesn't everybody feel a little underappreciated, Sparrow? But he's in a great situation here, and they really have used him, as well as Antonio Gates, extremely well. So many different pieces to this offense that you really have to watch out for when you play defense against the Chargers.
During that 2011 draft, a 7th-round pick, same class that brought the Broncos Von Miller, as Melvin Gordon able to wiggle his way inside the 40. And this is a big day for Gordon. We talked to him yesterday, and we asked him if he felt a little bit rusty last week. First he said no, then he kind of thought about it and said, you know what, I was a little rusty. So he tries to get his game going as they gear up for the playoffs next week.
Yeah, really anxious to get back on the field today and get going. And he wants to see a lot of touches in this game. And I thought it was interesting. I asked him, would you rather have 25 running plays, or would you rather have 15 passing, or 15 running, maybe 10 passing? He had to pause a little bit. He likes to touch the rock 20 times to get a rhythm, but he also loves those one-on-ones on the outside where he can make people miss.
Broncos showing blitz. Here they come on 3rd and 6. Rivers' pass is intercepted. Isaac Yiadom on the pick. And just like we saw from Rivers last week, the early interception, and it's Yiadom with his first NFL pick. Another rough start for Phillip Rivers. Third straight game, as you see, with the interception thrown on their opening drive of the game. Rivers, who threw 6 picks over the first 13 weeks, now with his 5th over his last 3+. So here's Case Keenum, his counterpart today, who's had an up-and-down first year here in Denver. As the Broncos will miss the postseason for a 3rd straight year. This is his tight end, Matt Lacoste, who's back from his 1-week absence. Adam, take us back to the pick.
Well, really good technique from the cornerback, Isaac Yiadom. And he's going to cover Tyrell Williams. Now, he knows the outcut is coming. Look at all the space on the sideline. And Williams doesn't get him out of his pedal. He comes out of his break too slow, and Yiadom is able to undercut it to pick off Rivers. Now,
quick release. That is Royce Freeman on the catch as we go to New York at our first update with James Brown.
Chiefs won the division and home field.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to play man coverage. Rookie Nick Nelson on Tyreek Hill, who runs right past him. A perfectly thrown touchdown pass by Patrick Mahomes. They take a 7-0 lead over the Raiders.
Back to Spiro Ditas.
All right, guys, so Kansas City controlling its own destiny. A win, as you saw there at home against Oakland. And they will be the 1 seed with home field throughout. Looks like Darius Philon may have come across prematurely.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 93. 5-yard penalty results. First down.
Well, there's Philon, who has really had a good couple of years. He's come a long way. 6th-round pick out of Arkansas, who's taken advantage of the absence of Corey Liuget, who started the year with a 4-game suspension, and then Liuget shut down due to injury with that torn quad that he sustained back in Week 11. So Philon to the sideline. 1st and 10 with Keenum from the gun. Keenum hit just before the release, and it's incomplete through the hands of his rookie running back Freeman. Derwin James, Adam, coming with the heat.
well, how about the season that Derwin James has had? Rookie Pro Bowler, and he plays almost exclusively down like a linebacker. They blitz him a ton. Now, they had to blitz him a lot early because Joey Bosa was hurt and they needed some other guys to rush the passer. But boy, has he developed into an all-around force in just his first season here with the Chargers.
Still not sure how James fell to 17th in the NFL draft. What a steal he's been for the Chargers. As Keenum again to the air underneath to his check down. That is Freeman again out of the backfield. But you look at Derwin James, there have been very few players certainly have the kind of impact that he's had this quickly, but his build, his physicality, he is the complete package in the modern day NFL safety.
And I think it helps when he has a coordinator like Gus Bradley who knows exactly how to use him. Remember, Gus Bradley was responsible for help developing Cam Chancellor in Seattle. But he uses him extremely well, and that's where I think Gus Bradley has had a great season, using all of his different players and finding their strengths and putting them in a place where they can succeed.
Keenum on 3rd and 7. That pass is broken up. That was Michael Davis on the coverage. Davis, who has become a starter. 9th straight start today. The old spot of Trevor Williams just overtook the veteran and was right there in defense of Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah, Michael Davis has had an exceptional season. 0 catches given up last week against the Baltimore Ravens, and a big physical guy. When he gets his hands on you, it's hard to get that separation, and another pass breakup.
The Chargers last week gave up that 99-yard punt return touchdown, so special teams have been an issue here. As Travis Benjamin is signaling fair catch. And let's see what the official signal is here, and it looks like, well, now they say touchback. So Denver's punt team unable to keep it out of the end zone after the punt of the rookie Colby Wadman here in Denver.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Lowe's. Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you.
Thunderstorm skydivers. How about that for a little thrill? Beautiful, picturesque Rocky Mountains off in the distance on a beautiful 53-degree winter day here in Denver. Here's Phillip Rivers, 4th interception in the last 3+ weeks. We'll see how he reacts. What a crazy season it's been for Anthony Lynn and these Chargers. kind of stubbed their toe, similar to last year with that 0-4 start. Losses to Kansas City and then the Rams. And then we've gone to that incredible hot streak, won 10 of their next 11 games. That thrilling finish in Kansas City with the 2-point conversion. But the loss to the Ravens at home last week has proved to be very costly, as now they're going to need a little bit of help from the Oakland Raiders as they try to get the AFC West Championship, something they have not done since 2009. Here is Gordon as he pushes that pile outside the 30, and that will be a Los Angeles first down.
Yeah, important first down right there for the LA Chargers. And one thing that Anthony Lynn, when we spoke to him last night, is he said, we've got to start faster. They have not been able to start well at all this season, and you see in their last 2 games they had to have a great comeback against Kansas City. Did not get off to a good start against the Ravens, and here an interception on their first possession of the game. So for them, they're trying to clean up their starts so they can try and get ahead for once in their season.
Rivers first down pass is caught. That's big Mike Williams, who's had a terrific bounce back year after a rookie season that was basically a washout last season. 18 yards and another Chargers first down.
And the development of Mike Williams has been outstanding for Rivers in this offense, who, remember that Kansas City game? Keenan Allen goes out with a hip pointer early in that game, and Mike Williams was tremendous. 7 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was on a reverse, but this is such an interesting collection of wide receivers that Rivers has to work with, all with special, unique talents, and he knows how to spread the ball around to each of them.
Austin Eckler, who's back in the lineup today, missed the last 2 weeks with a bruised neck and a shoulder issue, and here he is, his first take. A huge addition, Adam, to this Chargers offense. Eckler, who was one of the surprise stories in the NFL last year, made the team as an undrafted kid out of Little Western State University right here in Colorado. Could be another weapon if he can get his game going in the postseason.
He is best as a role player. He had a chance to start, wasn't as effective, but when he comes in on 3rd downs and he gives Melvin Gordon a break out of the backfield, he is electrifying. And he's another guy that if Phillip Rivers gets him the ball out in the open field, can make that first defender miss and make a big play for his offense.
Eckler wearing that protective neck brace. Rivers kind of bumped right on the release. He was looking in the direction of Eckler, who's been so good as a pass catcher for Rivers. Incredible to see just how much Rivers trusted this kid last year. It was Josie Jewell who was there for Denver.
And providing the pressure up front. You know, there's not a lot of bright spots for this Denver defense, but Shelby Harris has had himself a heck of a season. Had that huge game-sealing interception against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and is probably their best run player inside, but he has had a heck of a year, and right there puts the pressure on Phillip Rivers up the middle.
Rivers on 3rd and 8. Here they come. Rivers hit on the release. It was Bradley Chubb, the electrifying rookie. Still has his sights set on the NFL sack record. Begins the day with 12 sacks. Nearly got there for Denver.
He just beats Russell Okung, the left tackle, number 76, with speed. And the Chargers are pretty healthy, but Russell Okung is nursing an ankle. But you see that there's a little false step where Okung kind of got, you know, tripped up a little bit, and then Chubb uses that speed to bend the edge.
Chubb, the 5th overall pick, 3 sacks away from the NFL sack record set by Javon Curse, 14.5 back at 1999. That punt is into the end zone off the foot of Donnie Jones, as Denver will have it from the 20. Early going as Chubb doing it again for Denver. Now this is what everyone's waiting to see. Who wins the AFC West? Kansas City up 7-0 right now at home against Oakland. A Chiefs win gives them the West and a 1 seed with home field advantage throughout. Chargers can win the division with the Kansas City loss and a victory here over Denver. And so Chargers and Chiefs will either be the 1 seed, and whoever doesn't win the division will be the 5th seed, and will have a treacherous run with potentially 3 road games in order to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but whoever has to play those teams are going to have to bring their lunch bucket, because that is not going to be easy. That is a huge wild card field that's in the AFC side this year.
couple of runs after Denver went all passing, 5 passes on their first drive. As Freeman takes the pitch and is ganged up by that Chargers defense. Adam, what about Keenum? You know, up and down, we've talked about the struggles, the injuries. Of course, the trade of Demaryius Thomas in late October. They lose Emmanuel Sanders in the early part of December. Such a huge loss, and it has been a struggle without a doubt.
You could see early in the season that the entire offense was trying to find itself. And, of course, Keenum, coming from the Minnesota Vikings, didn't play his best ball. But in that stretch, he started to take care of the football and make some huge throw in key moments of the game. But then the last few weeks with the injuries, everything has just kind of fallen apart for Keenum.
Keenum under heavy pressure as he tries to throw on the run. That's where he's had most of his success on that one-out action. But Isaac Rochelle was coming with the pressure at the end of that play. And once again, Denver will punt.
The Broncos started off in their first series running a lot of empty, a lot of spread, and tried to use tempo. And as I watch Keenum, I think that's where the better part of his game lies. I think he kind of comes alive a little bit when he gets to get that ball out of his hands and kind of spread the field a little bit.
I misspoke early. It was Denver, of course, who had given up that long punt return to Dwayne Harris in Oakland last week. Good coverage this time for Denver. As Brandon Langley, who's coming back from a concussion this week, was there on a terrific coverage. But there is a penalty marker thrown way back right around the
during the
area
kick,
where Waldman punts.
Receiving team, number 56, 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st and 10,
That's
timeout.
Kyle Wilson, as Phillip Rivers back onto the field when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. And by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the NFL.
What a first meeting it was between these two teams in Carson. Brandon McManus, that last-second game-winning kick on the final play. That was the win that really ignited Denver on that 3-game winning streak. The next 2 weeks they would go on to defeat Pittsburgh and then Cincinnati to get them back into the playoff. Chase Rivers finding Tyrell Williams on his first catch, and that'll get the Chargers offense some breathing room. And so Rivers trying to find his game a little bit. The last couple of weeks have been a struggle for Rivers.
But I look at it, and I think a lot of part is that was without Melvin Gordon in the lineup, and they had the injury to Austin Eckler. This football team is built around their balance, and that's one of the things that Anthony Lynn talked about is the need to get balance back in their offense. And you can see when this time of year, when it gets December and you're just a pass-first football team, it's extremely difficult. So getting the running game going is going to be key for the Chargers as they enter the playoffs.
Rivers throwing a dart on first down. It was bobbled and caught by Williams. Just outside the Chargers 40. Well done. Jewell on the tackle. A pickup of 14 and a first down to New York and James Brown.
Soaring. Daniel Soren said, Derek Carr is going to try to throw the ball to Jared Cook, and he's not waiting for it or not even expecting it. Well, Daniel Sorensen he's going to return it 54 yards for the touchdown as the Chiefs add to their lead 14-0 over the Raiders.
Looking for the division title and home field. Back to Spiro and Adam.
All right, not what the Chargers and their fans wanted to see. So 14-0 lead there for Kansas City. Again, the Chiefs win locks up the West and home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Here is Rivers on first down. That pass is batted down and it is ruled incomplete. Off the hands of Derek Wolfe, who has been such a mainstay for this Broncos defense.
Rivers going to a bit of a quick passing game, and there you see Wolfe, number 95, just read the eyes of Rivers, and he knows that the ball is going to come out. So now his only goal is to time his jump and bat that pass down. And we just saw that highlight of Kansas City. That's starting fast, and that's how you want to get to the playoffs. That's what Anthony Lynn hoped the Chargers would look like in this game, and that's what he wished he would have saw. So the Chargers, they've got to get more rhythm going here and start to give it to these Denver Broncos.
Blitz coming. Rivers gets it out quickly to Gordon. And we talked about Rivers' struggles last week. Of course, a big part of that was Baltimore's defense, which is playing as good as any unit in the NFL. Ravens held the Chargers to under 200 yards. Only the 4th time that's happened to the Chargers since Rivers has been their starter. But clearly some things that they have to figure out.
Well, the Ravens are a talented defense, and early on this season, teams were afraid to blitz Rivers. But the Ravens blitzed him 20 times last week, 44% of their snaps, and had great success. But they also did a nice job of disguising their coverage and taking away Rivers' first option, and that's why they were successful against this offense.
Rivers on 3rd and 8, protected, and that pass is intercepted again. Will Parks on the INT. Second pick thrown of the quarter by Rivers. And we will be back to Denver in 30 seconds after this from Lowe's. How about this start by Vance Joseph's defense? Will Parks, his first interception of the season and the 3rd in his 3-year career. So Case Keenum and the offense get a short field. Keenum on the bootleg here will just throw it out of bounds. Well covered down the field. Damian Square guides him out of bounds. Arch, take us back to the interception.
Will Parks is going to just read the eyes of Rivers. And Parks, this is an interesting coverage. I'm not sure, this could have been an assignment bust, because it looked like the Broncos were in man coverage and Parks was kind of a free floater. So Rivers doesn't expect Parks to be there. He thinks Antonio Gates is going to be open for the first down, but Parks breaks inside and gets the Broncos' 2nd interception of the game.
Melvin Ingram just walked off the field for the Chargers. They take a look at him on their sideline. Keenum on 2nd down will hand off here to Freeman. Broncos last week, first 5 possessions ending in a punt. Today, 2 possessions and 2 punts as their offensive struggles continue. And faced here with the 3rd down. Keenum so far just 3 of 7 for 10 yards. Trying to take advantage of a 2nd takeaway by Denver's defense. Keenum nowhere to go. He'll run for it. First down and more. Haven't had much success in the passing game, but a fresh set of downs here for Denver with that clock running. Here's Vance Joseph. Has had to deal with all kinds of reports that this will be his final game as Broncos head coach. He's certainly taken it in stride. He's kept the focus on his staff and his players. And what has been a very disappointing 3-week stretch with 3 straight losses after the Broncos had fought their way back in. That pass from Keenum is complete to Freeman. We asked Joseph about it and said, look, this is not about me, it's about my staff. Those are the guys I worry about, my players. There's only 32 of these jobs out there, so I've already won. Who knows what the future will bring, but of course our Jason LaCanfora reporting earlier on the NFL Today that this will be in fact his final game. We'll see what happens tomorrow. With Black Monday always a little bit messy around the NFL, but it's just hard to believe, Arch. You look at what they had done. They had fought their way out of that 3-6 hole, got to 500, were a game out of the wild card as we get a penalty flag thrown here, a hold against Denver. And they had it kind of set up. The schedule was favorable at that point, but 3 straight losses, hard to believe.
We had this team when they played the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was after they were coming off those big wins against the Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we really thought with the way they were running the football behind Philip Lindsay and Case Keenum playing his best football, that they were set up for a big December and could have been a playoff football team. But the catastrophic injuries really derailed that plan, and here we are.
Keenum going to take his shot to the end zone. It's incomplete, trying to go to the deep ball to the rookie Courtland Sutton. And it's incomplete. Philip Lindsay, who was hurt last week with that devastating wrist injury, ending what was one of the more improbable seasons we have seen in history by an undrafted player. He was selected to the Pro Bowl and unfortunately will not be able to participate.
He was so much fun to watch. One of the more fun running backs in the NFL, and just the guy that, you know, obviously his size is well documented, but the way he ran up inside, it seemed like he was never wrong. And the way he just accelerated through the hole, defenses just didn't have enough time to react. And what an excellent rookie year.
Keenum will just throw that one into the turf. Nowhere to go down the field on 3rd and 16, and they will be booed off the field. As Denver's offense, 2 takeaways from their defense, and still looking for their first points.
You really can't ask much more from your defense against one of the more high-powered offenses in the National Football League to take the ball away and give you the football right around midfield. And if you're the Denver Broncos, you've got to be able to take advantage of that good fortune. But the offense, down so many players, just can't get it done against Gus Bradley's defense.
Rookie punter Colby Wadman, who didn't debut for the Broncos until week 5, took over after Marquette King was placed on injured reserve. Were unable to down one in that area earlier. And this one once again takes a Chargers bounce. Chargers will have it from the 20. Back in 30 seconds after this from Farmers Insurance. Phillip Rivers, if you've just joined us, with a rough start today. 2 interceptions thrown. And we are still scoreless. Fortunate that his defense has bailed him out till this point. Here is Austin Eckler, able to fight his way out past the 25, but a couple of bad throws by Rivers.
Another slow start to this offense. The first time, just great break by the corner, Isaac Yiadom. And I really do believe on this last interception, I'm not sure Will Parks was supposed to be there. That was man coverage, and I don't think Phillip Rivers expected him to be there, and he just read his eyes, broke back inside, and gave the Broncos their 2nd interception of the day. But you've got to really tip your hat to this defense. They are playing good up front. They're getting some pressure, and their defensive backs have been able to make plays on the football.
Final buck 17 of the quarter as Eckler on the take again. The interceptions by Isaac Yiadom and Will Parks. It's only the 3rd time in Rivers' career, Adam, that he has thrown 2 picks in the first quarter of a game. As we come up on the final 60 seconds of the quarter.
You look at their last 5 games, and they've been outscored 43-14 in the first quarter. The slow starts are going to catch up to these Chargers if they don't figure it out.
Tell you what, Denver having some issues with their offense. Adam, if this defense has come to play, Von Miller was there. And on 4th down, Anthony Lynn will send out his punter, Donnie Jones.
Really are. Von Miller just beats the block outside, and it's a fired up defense. And Von Miller kind of took some of the comments from the Chargers and Phillip Rivers about their last game, and he didn't like it, and he was motivated, ready to come out here today, and it looked like the same for all of his defensive teammates.
Yeah, you never want to poke the bear. Don't disrespect Von Miller. What a start for him with this defense. River Craycraft on the punt return and a late marker thrown behind the play. Back at around the 33-yard line. 38 yards on the punt by Jones. 11 on the return by Craycraft. As we await the call here from John Parry.
During the kick, illegal block in the back. Return team number 35. 10-yard penalty. 1st and 10.
That's on Diamante Thomas. And another penalty against Denver. That has been an issue for them all season long. Again, this is what's at stake. Chargers can still win the AFC West with a win today, and coupled with a Kansas City loss or a tie against Oakland. But so far, it's a 14-0 Kansas City lead there. Whoever wins the West will be the 1 seed and will have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. And whoever comes in 2nd place in the West will be the 5 seed. And will have a likely 1st round date at Baltimore next week against the Red Hot Ravens. So still so much left to be decided in the AFC. Final 6 seconds of the quarter. This is Freeman making the start today for Lindsay, as that takes us to the end of the 1st here in Denver. You're watching the NFL on CBS. On seasonably mild winter day here in Denver, temperatures in the mid-50s as we welcome you back to Denver. Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta, Happy New Year. Jatavis Brown, by the way, walked off. They've had numerous injuries. Of course, no Denzel Perriman. Lost Kaiser White earlier in the season, unable to put any weight on that leg.
Yeah, that can be huge because Gus Bradley has had to play a lot of their base sets with 6 defensive backs because they've been so thin at linebacker. And Jatavis Brown was one of the only ones that were left standing.
So here's Keenum back to the airways. That's Tim Patrick able to stay in bounds. So this was Jatavis, or is Brown, as he is carted into the Chargers locker room. This was the play right here. You'll see his leg get caught underneath the right. I'll make it well, kind of both legs, but it is the right leg that appears to be the injury. And he can just hope for the best. The Chargers defense that has been hit with some key injuries. Boy, Keenum, how did he hold on to the football and get that out? What a play by the quarterback, able to get it to the rookie Freeman. Pressure was coming on that play by Joey Bosa.
Well, if you were Vance Joseph or Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator, you would think that they have to try and run the ball against this defense that are down linebackers.
Pitch play to Freeman, the big physical runner, on second and short. Well played by Adrian Phillips. And that will be a Denver first down.
Adrian Phillips is one of the guys that has a former safety that has played most of his snaps as a linebacker this season. And he is an extremely intelligent player and has made a lot of plays and looks quite comfortable at linebacker.
One play called here, snuffed out by the Chargers defense. We asked Gus Bradley about facing Denver, and he said, we're facing a Broncos team without Phillip Lindsay, no Emmanuel Sanders. Not really sure what to expect. A little bit of the element of the unknown today.
And nobody knows what to expect, because when you look at it, and I said it earlier, Keenum operates, in my eyes, better as a spread up-tempo quarterback, and he wants to get the ball out of their hands. Now, I think the Broncos want to be a run, play-action football team, and they've been a heavy play-action team on first down, but I don't know if that necessarily suits what kind of quarterback that Keenum is.
On second down and long, this is Devontae Booker. Yeah, we talked about that run that Denver had put together early part of the month. They had won the back-to-back games over these Chargers and then Pittsburgh. They were kind of back in the playoff mix, and then they lose Chris Harris to the broken fibula in the Cincinnati game. Then a couple of days later in practice, Emmanuel Sanders goes down with the Achilles. Two of their most indispensable players, Adam, gone over a 3-day stretch. And for such a young team, that was just catastrophic.
Those two injuries right there completely popped the balloon. Because as soon as Chris Harris went out, that was had a major effect on this defense. And for one of the only playmakers, their best playmakers on offense, not having Emmanuel Sanders was devastating for Case Keenum in the offense.
Keenum on 3rd and 6. His man hides his step. It was Sutton. And just a little bit too far in front. Casey Hayward was there on the coverage.
Double move out and then up. And Sutton has a step. He has a separation, and it looks like to me Sutton should have had that ball right through both hands. And as a guy that, you know, wants to develop into a #1 type receiver down the field, when you have a step on your man, got to make that play for your quarterback.
Sutton, the young man whom they took with the 40th overall pick in the NFL draft, has become a starter since the trade of Demaryius Thomas in late October. Fair catch signaled here by Benjamin, as we are still looking for our first points. A ragged start, to say the least, for Phillip Rivers and this Los Angeles offense so far. 2 interceptions thrown by Rivers, if you've just joined us. And we are still scoreless here in Denver, early second quarter. Rivers on a crosser, finding Keenan Allen as they desperately try to get their offense going. That's a first down connection of a dozen. Today's aerial coverage being brought to you by State Farm. Can't ask for much better weather than this here in beautiful Denver, one of the great American cities. Disappointing season for these Broncos, but hoping to play the role of spoiler today against their old friends out west. Rivers from the gun on first down goes right back to Allen. Played last week despite that ailing hip. Something he hurt a couple of weeks ago in that Kansas City game. Tried to play left, did come back last week. Started the day today, 7 catches away from reaching 100 in back-to-back years, something that has never been done in franchise history, and that's the Chargers' first down.
Broncos are playing a lot of single high safety and daring the Chargers to throw the ball. Outside with Tyrell Williams, they have not been able to get separation, so now against these defensive look, Keenan Allen is the guy who has to start to get this offense going.
And a play action from Rivers. That pass is incomplete, boy, right through the hands of Benjamin, who was open. And Rivers put it right on the money. Pressure from Will Parks.
Will Parks is a free rusher right in Rivers' face, and that's a ball right there Benjamin has to catch. He had to adjust for it. But for Benjamin, who only has, coming into this game, 12 catches on the season, just like we saw in the last series for the Broncos with Cortland Sutton, you're wide open and you have a step on your man and the ball's in your hands. You've got to be able to come down with that catch.
Benjamin missed 4 of the first 6 games with that right foot injury. It's taken him a while to get right. Rivers under pressure again. That pass well short. It's headed for Mike Williams. But once again, Chargers drive stalls. And so they will be faced with a 3rd down hit coming up here. So one more play, I beg your pardon. 0-4 are the Chargers so far on 3rd down.
We've seen this a few times in this game with big push inside from the inside of that Denver defense. We saw it earlier with Shelby Harris. That time it was Adam Gotsis, and he just drove the right guard, Michael Schofield, right back into Phillip Rivers. So Rivers has been under a lot of pressure today. The blitzes are getting home, and the offensive line is getting pushed back.
Rivers underneath. This is Gordon needing the 45 for the 1st down, and he is short as that Denver defense once again able to hold. Back to New York, JB and Boomer.
Chiefs want home field.
They want that number 1 seed, JB. Here comes Damian Williams right up the middle, 4-yard TD run as Kansas City extends their lead 21-0 over the Raiders.
Spiro and Adam.
All right, guys, so all Kansas City in that game as the Chiefs with a victory there will lock up the AFC West Championship home field advantage as the 1 seed. Not the result that the Chargers wanted to see. Punt by Donnie Jones will take a bounce into the end zone as the Broncos will have it from the 20.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. T-Mobile. Whether you're home or away, T-Mobile has you covered. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
A beautiful day for some ice skating at the NF Plaza, downtown Denver. With temperatures in the mid-50s. Some of the picturesque pictures from this great city. Downtown Denver, Colorado. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, rest of our CBS crew. Happy New Year from Denver. Still looking for the first points. This is Royce Freeman, who was certainly overshadowed this season with the exploits of Philip Lindsay, the undrafted kid from right here in Denver. Lindsay, we told you earlier, down for the season, underwent surgery on that wrist. He is expected to miss a little bit of the offseason program. They hope that he'll be ready for training camp. It certainly appears that way. But so now this is a chance for Freeman, and this is what Vance Joseph told us. This is the perfect kind of setup for him. Want to see what he can do if we give it to him 20 to 25 times in this game. A lot of decisions to make in the offseason with this personnel. Andy Janovich, big fullback with the catch, and that's a 1st down pickup of 10. As Denver trying to kick this offense into gear. 4 possessions, 4 punts.
They've tried a lot of different tactics. They've tried some spread stuff, some up-tempo stuff. They've tried to run the football. They've tried a little bit of play action, but so far not a lot has worked. They did have a chance to connect down the field with a big play to Cortland Sutton, but they failed on that connection as well.
Barely get the snap off with the play clock at 0. Penalty marker thrown as Freeman fights his way right through the teeth of the defense. The rookie sensation Derwin James on the tackle for the Chargers.
Holding, offense number 77. 10-yard penalty, replay, 1st down.
That is Billy Turner on the Denver penalty. Well, tonight on 60 Minutes Presents, visit the world's top restaurant in Italy, Scotland's iconic whiskey makers, and hear music and stories from Sir Paul McCartney tonight only on 60 Minutes Presents.
Spiro, I like what the Broncos are doing. They're going with an extra offensive lineman at tight end. Sam Jones, the extra tackle, is playing tight end. And they're trying to get some movement on that smaller front seven from the LA Chargers. But so far, the Chargers doing a good job up front stopping the run.
Here's Freeman out of the backfield. Freeman missed a couple of games, weeks 8 and 9 with that ankle injury. But you look at his resume at Oregon, such a terrific collegiate career, finished 7th most scrimmage yards in the history of college football. Everyone thought, third round pick, that he would be the starter after Denver moved on from C.J. Anderson. But of course, Lindsey was a revelation. And now Freeman has a chance to show what he can do late in the season. Freeman getting a breather here with Devontae Booker lined up in the backfield alongside Keenum. On 2nd and 16, that pass over the middle is complete. That is the rookie Deshaun Hamilton in a starting role for suddenly this very young, inexperienced offense.
Well, let's take a look at it. Your top 2 tight ends are hurt. Your best running back and Lindsey is hurt. You had 2 rookies playing running back. Now you have 2 rookie starters at wide receiver. You get rid of Demaryius Thomas, no Emmanuel Sanders, and then all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, if you're Case Keenum, who are my guys that I have to try and get the ball to? There's just not a lot of experience out there for the Broncos offense.
Keenum over the middle, going right back to Hamilton. And Hamilton's still going. We'll see what the officials say here. It looks like they'll mark him back. Hamilton, the 4th-round kid out of Penn State. Hayes Pollard was there for the Chargers defense to bring him to the turf.
Yeah, you see Hayes Pollard. He made contact. So he is down by contact. But Deshaun Hamilton is another guy. We talked about Cortland Sutton. And I think Hamilton has a chance. He is a smart player. He is an excellent, wonderful route runner who caught a lot of balls and a lot of touchdowns at Penn State, who I think has another bright future here. He just needs more reps and more experience in this offense.
One play here to Booker, finds his seam. Booker still going. There are multiple flags back as Booker into the end zone. We'll see what the call is here from John Parry. It's a 54-yard touchdown if it stands. But this one could be coming back. Adrian Phillips appears to be hobbled.
I think they're going to get Garrett Bowles, the Denver Broncos left tackle.
Longest run of the season for Booker this year was 26 yards. And this one coming back.
2 fouls in the play. Both are holding on the offense. Number 81 is declined. Number 72 is accepted. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
And there's Bowles, the 20th overall pick in the 2017 draft. And that one hurts.
Yeah, really initially a nifty job by Bowles to get upfield and then get to Phillips. But you see him right there. Left hand on the shoulders. They pull him down. And that is a tough block right there to ask of your left tackle, to basically block a guy to get to seal him to the inside when he already has outside leverage. Bowles has played some pretty good football here in the last 6 weeks of the season after a slow start, but that was an easy call.
3rd accepted holding penalty against the Broncos in this game, so it sets up a 1st and 20 back at their own 36. Lone setback is Freeman. They'll protect him here. Keenum's going to take a shot down the field intended for Patrick, and another marker thrown. This one again, he's in the Denver backfield, and it will be a holding penalty.
Oh my goodness.
Rayshawn Jenkins was there on the coverage.
But this is clear as day. Garrett Bowles again.
Holding. Offense. Number 72. 10-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Number 72 again, the left tackle, and that's Joey Bosa, number 99. And watch how Bowles just wraps him and just slings him down. I mean, that's That's pretty obvious and pretty evident. I look at his hands. He's like, what did I do? But come on now. You played a lot of football. That's just a takedown on Joey Bosa.
Now, Bosa, who missed the first 9 games of the season, had to knock off some of that rust. 4.5 sacks. Starting to come into form here just in the nick of time for the postseason. 1st and 30 after another holding penalty. As this pass by Keenum. You see what they say. That's a live football. Perhaps it's Kyle Emanuel rumbling into the end zone for the Chargers touchdown. So it was ruled a backwards pass, and that is a live football. Royce Freeman was the intended receiver. Desmond King was right there defensively.
Now, what a terrible sequence for the Denver Broncos. And Keenum, and it looks to me, yes, that ball is, from this angle anyway, it does look like it's a backward pass. Therefore, live ball. This is a better look right here. And clearly, to me, backward pass. Freeman cannot secure it. And then Kyle Emanuel with the scoop and the score. So Gus Bradley's defense strikes blood first here for the Chargers. Terrible sequence for the Denver Broncos.
Emanuel, the former 5th-round pick out of North Dakota State, starter each of the last 3 years for this Chargers defense, and a huge play to get the Chargers on the board first. And the ugliness for this Denver offense, Adam, continues. Extra point try by Michael Badgley, who has shored up what was a disastrous kicking situation for the Chargers last season. First career touchdown for Kyle Emanuel. Chargers in front. Now, this is the scenario for the Los Angeles Chargers trying to clinch the AFC West, but they need Kansas City to lose to Oakland. If the Chiefs go on to win that game, Chiefs will be the AFC West winner and the 1 seed with home field throughout the AFC playoffs. Right now in front comfortably at home against Oakland. Kick by Badgley, fielded by Langley. As we get a late marker thrown here, Langley is cut short right around the 20-yard line. Well played down the field by Nick DeZubnar, who has been a special teams ace for the Chargers. Here's John Parry.
Return team, number 32. 10-yard penalty, 1st and 10.
That is Andy Janovich.
How many, are you keeping track? How many holdings here for the Denver Broncos? 5 holding penalties. Unreal.
They'll get your New Year's celebration started early with the Sun Bowl as the Stanford Cardinal will take on the Pittsburgh Panthers in El Paso, Texas. That's tomorrow, 2 Eastern on CBS. Our friends Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl will have the call in that one. So Denver with 101 yards of total offense, 65 yards, Adam, in penalties. And this has been a theme for Vance Joseph and this team this season. One of the reasons why the Broncos are at 6-9 and will miss the postseason for a 3rd straight season. This was Vance Joseph during the break talking to his young left tackle Garrett Bowles.
He's saying 99 is really good and he's really fast, and the only thing that I could do right there was throw him to the ground. Say, why don't you go block him, coach? What do you think? Is that what he said?
Well, I don't read lips, but I think it was something along those lines. Tough assignment for Bowles, who has got a lot of talent. High draft pick, as we told you, by John Elway back in 2017, as that pass by Keenum on the run. And he has looked in the direction of Tim Patrick numerous times so far. Patrick just 19 catches entering this game. That's 14 yards, but Patrick late to get to his feet. Patrick, the undrafted first-year player out of Utah, was Michael Davis there on the coverage.
Tough to see exactly what happened right there. Nice pass on the bootleg from Case Keenum, but and another one for the Broncos wide receiving core goes down. I mean,
Denver Adam, with 4 healthy wide receivers today. All of them are first-year players.
So we've got Cortland Sutton, rookie, Deshaun Hamilton, rookie, and then River Craycraft, who spent the first half of the season on the practice squad as your 3 healthy receivers.
Told you about Emmanuel Sanders with a devastating Achilles tear in practice a couple of days after the Cincinnati game in early December. And when it rains, it pours. A Denver team that has been decimated by injuries this season, specifically on their offensive side of the ball.
Spiro, you never want to make excuses. You know, being a part of the NFL, excuses are never valid, but you've got to look at the reality of the injuries on the offense. And look, depth, being able to overcome so many injuries at pretty much every single position is just too much, especially when you consider the payroll here. You know, $53 million of the salary cap is dedicated to the offense. $102 million is for the defense. You just don't have enough depth on the offensive side of the ball to withstand all of these injuries.
You know, it's one thing for a veteran team to absorb key injuries, but Denver, youngest team in the NFL, just too much to ask of this young, inexperienced group. You know, the offensive line injuries. Matt Paradis, their center, going down, the broken fibula back in week 9, ending his season. Max Garcia, Ron Leary. Those are key players, and Madam touched on the tight end woes. Jeff Hireman, the season-ending injury. Tight end position so massively depleted.
I mean, right now, you know, pretty much all of your skill players are rookies. I mean, that's what Case Keenum is dealing with as a quarterback here for the Broncos.
So then we'll take a closer look at Patrick on the sideline. This stadium that is quiet as you'll ever hear it, with their offense on the field, and we come up on the final 4 minutes before halftime. A reminder to keep it here. The Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the crew standing by in New York. Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cowher gets around the league in what was expected to be a wild Week 17, with the AFC playoff pictures still kind of wide open entering the weekend. We know that New England has locked up the first round bye, currently the number 2 team. Still had an outside chance at the 1 seed, but doesn't look like that will be the case if Kansas City can hold on against Oakland. On second down, here is Freeman taking on tacklers. A couple of defensive notes on the Chargers. Jatavis Brown left the game with an ankle injury. His return is questionable, and Derwin James, first Chargers rookie in franchise history to amass 100 tackles.
Really impressive when you watch Derwin James, and again, the job that Gus Bradley has done this season, and kind of had to tweak his defensive scheme to suit what his players do best. You know, the first 10 games of the season didn't have Joey Bosa. They had to figure out how to get a pass rush, and boy, have they done a really good job of complementing their offense this year.
Good pass protection there. Keenum's pass is complete to Booker. Booker, who has battled injuries in his past, tackled on the play by Desmond King, who has been so good for this Chargers defense. King, the 5th-round pick out of Iowa. 3 interceptions this season, tied for the team lead with Derwin James. He's been terrific in the return game, as Denver will have it 2nd and 2.
He really has elite wide receiver type ball skills, and that's what makes a corner truly special, is can you take the ball away? King can do that.
Booker needing the 50 for the first down. We'll see where his forward progress takes him. Looks like a favorable spot, as that looks like will take us to the 2-minute warning, and it will be first down Denver. Broncos down 7, still looking for their first points. Final 2 minutes next on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network. And by E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
A good-looking crowd here in Denver, despite the fact that the Broncos have been eliminated from postseason contention. 3rd straight year that they will miss out on the postseason party. Bitter pill to swallow for this fan base that has been accustomed to elite play year in and year out. Third straight year that they'll miss since that 2015 Super Bowl season. Here's Keenum on first down. Put some air under it. Up the seam, and it is caught. Craycraft. Monstrous play for Denver. 45 yards from Keenum. Denver with all 3 timeouts as Keenum scurries them quickly to the line of scrimmage. Final 90 seconds. He throws on the run, and it's incomplete. Hamilton may have had 6.
Another opportunity. Deshaun Hamilton catch that ball and get into the end zone. Reward your quarterback. What a job to come down with that catch. Huge play. I thought Keenum underthrew that ball and gave the Chargers an opportunity to play that, but a contested catch goes the Broncos' way. And now the Broncos get a chance to score here going into halftime.
Keenum to the end zone, incomplete. Looking for his tight end Lacasse, who we told you didn't play last week with that ankle injury. Former undrafted free agent with the Giants back in 2015, and it will be 3rd and goal. Tim Patrick, who left briefly with what appeared to be an ankle injury, is now back in for Denver.
What a catch by River Craycraft. Down the heart, right down the middle of that Chargers defense.
You'd think this is 2-down territory for the Broncos with not much to lose. That pass batted up and intercepted. Jaleel Addae there for the Chargers. The little foot, that's a live football. And Denver will get it back as Elijah Wilkinson falls on the football. And I'm not sure what Addae was thinking. Addae with his first pick of the season and only the 2nd of his 6-year career, but the Broncos get it back.
Yeah, Keenum is trying to fit this ball right in between Hayes Pillard and Adrian Phillips. And Pillard with a great break on the ball. And Jaleel Addae is right there to catch it, but that is a terrible decision right there. You've got to be so much smarter and understand the circumstances. You just had a big play that took the Broncos out of scoring situation, and now you give Case Keenum another chance.
Fumble recovered by the original offense. It'll be 1st and 10. Denver's football.
Trying to flip it to Desmond King. Maybe you take that chance if it's the last play of the half, but certainly not here with still over a minute left before the intermission.
Now you just got bailed out if you're Denver. So you've got to cash in right here. This is your chance. They've had some chances here. Their defense has set them up, set the offense up with good field position. They've had some takeaways. You get a big explosive play down the field. The next play is a drop that should have been a touchdown. And here you go again, one more chance with 1 minute and 12 seconds left here before halftime.
So 5 combined turnovers in this game. That was the 3rd by the Chargers. We had the 2 first-quarter interceptions by Rivers. Keenum back in the game. That pass right through the hands of Lacasse. And more bruise from these Denver fans. Broncos have all 3 timeouts and 68 seconds left.
Just how many drops, how many mistakes, and that's what's kind of characterized the Broncos here on this three-game slide. Too many mistakes here that they're just not talented enough because of all the injuries on offense to be able to overcome. Your defense, as I said before, has played a terrific game against a high-powered LA offense, and the offense just hasn't been able to take advantage of good fortune.
The pass this time is caught by Lacasse. Broncos trying to avoid double-digit losses this season. Hasn't happened since 1966-67. Of course, consecutive losing seasons for the first time since the early 70s. 45 seasons. Longest such streak in the NFL, ending this season as they'll miss the postseason again. That's Booker. And that will be a Denver first down. They'll take a timeout here with 42 seconds in the second quarter. Let's get you caught up on some of the early afternoon headlines around the NFL. The Patriots, of course, locking up the AFC East 10th straight year. They also clinch a first-round bye with their win over the Jets. How about the Houston Texans, that red-hot bunch behind Deshaun Watson? They clinched the South. They will likely be the 3 seed. And the Dallas Cowboys, left for dead earlier in the season, they march red hot into the postseason, NFC East champions. And this is what the AFC playoff picture looks like at the moment. Kansas City up big over Oakland. They have the inside track to the 1 seed, home field throughout. So if everything holds, Adam, the way it is right now, it will be the Chargers in Baltimore next week in the wild card against the Ravens.
And what stands out is that everybody who is supposed to take care of business has taken care of business. And I know the Chargers right now are up by 7 points, but they're not playing very well. I mean, you credit Gus Bradley's defense, but at least on offense, that's not the way you want to end on week 17 as the playoffs begin.
Keenum. That pass is caught by Booker. A 4th-round pick in his 3rd season out of Utah. And it looks like Vance Joseph, or actually the Chargers, will take the timeout here with 33 seconds to play. And that will be the first charge timeout for the Chargers. Another reminder to keep it here. The Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the crew will get you caught up around the league on this final Sunday of the regular season. And the playoffs just 1 week away. Verizon halftime report is next.
This Charger defense, especially when you go back to last week and even the Kansas City game, has been excellent in the red zone. And here they are again today. When that field starts to get tight, Gus Bradley's defense has been able to make plays. And just the fact that they were able to take the ball away and they give it right back to Case Keenum is the only bad part of what they've done here on defense today.
Broncos will have the football to begin the second half. Keenum underneath here. That's Booker, but well played by Derwin James, the rookie stud, who may have the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year award already in the bag. Clock running here. A couple of seconds come off before Vance Joseph takes the timeout. This will be their second. With 21 seconds remaining. I told you about the combined turnovers, 5. This was the last deflection, the pick by Adai. And then the questionable decision to try to pitch to Desmond King at the end of the play. It was loose off the hands of Booker and then recovered by Elijah Wilkinson. We'll see if Denver can capitalize.
Bad choice. But you got to ask yourself, if you're Case Keenum, who's the go-to guy? I mean, who on this offense right now can you trust that you're trying to get the ball to? Now they have Cortland Sutton split out one-on-one to the backside looking for man coverage, but the Chargers have 2 players to cover Sutton.
On 3rd and goal, Bosa burying Keenum. And we saw Bosa struggle initially after coming back, missing the first half of the season, but really starting to resemble the old Bosa.
At this time, number 99 working on Jared Valdir, the right guard. And look how Bosa, I love how Bosa uses his hands. There might not be a better player, edge rusher, who uses their hands like Bosa does to get off of that block, and then look how tightly he turns the corner. I think Vance Joseph said it best. Bosa missed a lot of games this year, but there's no doubt he would have been in the Pro Bowl if he had been healthy, and just makes that Charger defense that much better on opposite the Pro Bowler Melvin Ingram.
Double-digit sacks for Bosa each of his first 2 years, now at 5.5 sacks this year in what is his 7th game of the season. 28-yard chip shot attempts by Brandon McManus, who had the game winner over the Chargers in Los Angeles in that first meeting back in week 11. So Vance Joseph elects to salvage the 3 points and get Denver on the board for the first time today.
We keep saying it, but that red zone defense, first with an interception, and then you give the Broncos another chance at it, and then you just really tighten up and force the Broncos to settle for 3 points. Excellent job today from the Chargers on defense.
And Adam, as we look at that Kansas City score, it'll be interesting to see what Anthony Lynn does in the second half. We asked Lynn if he would be keeping tabs on that Kansas City-Oakland game, and he said he would not. I'm sure someone's going to whisper in his ear maybe at halftime, and Yeah, that begs the question, do you keep your starters in, risk injury, as they try to get some chemistry going? The offense, of course, has struggled. Or do you sit everyone down and start the countdown to the playoffs?
Oakland did just score 3 points to make it interesting in Kansas City. But I think as this game gets closer to the fourth quarter, I think you're going to start to see some Chargers come out of the game. I think they're going to try and get to the third quarter, try and clean up some stuff on offense, get their timing back. But as this game goes on and the score is no longer a question in Kansas City, we're going to see some backups here play for the Chargers in the fourth quarter.
This is where we are right now, as that Kansas City-Oakland game has reached halftime. All Chiefs 21-3. Kansas City wins, and they will lock up the AFC West Championship, the 1 seed and home field throughout. And that would mean that the Chargers would be the 5 seed and would likely be in Baltimore next weekend to get the wild card round going. 11 seconds left. Rivers to Gordon. And that should take us to halftime here in Denver. Choppy first half. 2 first quarter interceptions thrown by Rivers, as the Chargers lead at halftime 7-3. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station.
Want more stats? Hey Siri, who leads the league in touchdowns?
Sun starting to set here in beautiful Denver on an unseasonably mild winter day. 7-3 Chargers in front of the Broncos as these two teams wrap up the regular season today. Well, Philip Rivers clearly last week had his worst game of the season, and that has carried over into this game. 2 interceptions thrown in the first quarter, the second by Will Parks. Only the 3rd time in his career he's thrown 2 interceptions in the first quarter of the game. It's Gus Bradley's defense bailing him out. Kyle Emanuel, first touchdown of his career. That long return on the fumble recovery, and then Jaleel Adai, questionable decision here. The interception off the deflection, trying to pitch it at the end of the play to Desmond King. Broncos would recover and would turn it into their first 3 points of the day. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Denver. Spiro Dedes and Adam Archuleta. Have to be a little bit concerned now if you're Anthony Lynn. Philip Rivers, worst game last week, and right now clearly not looking like his usual self.
I would have to say so, especially it's kind of a trend right now. This offense and this football team was rolling through the first part in the first half of the season, but here, now in the last 4 games, especially as they start the game, they haven't looked like themselves. They have no balance to their offense. They haven't been able to get a running game going. The Broncos have been able to pressure Philip Rivers, and his throws just don't look like they have enough on them, and the Broncos have been able to capitalize with 2 interceptions. So I think if you're Anthony Lynn right now, you need to see more from your offense here in this game as you get ready for the playoffs.
This return is taken. That is a hard collision off the kick by Michael Badgley. Craycraft is on the receiving end of a punishing hit. First half stats. Not much in the passing game for Rivers and the Chargers. We told you last week, held to under 200 yards for only the 4th time since Rivers has been their starting quarterback. And 3 first half turnovers, including the 2 interceptions.
Really felt like coming into this game with Melvin Gordon back for his 2nd game now that they could be able to run the ball on this Denver Broncos defense, but they haven't been able to do that, and that has led to 3rd downs being a really tough down. So far the Chargers 0 for 5 on 3rd downs.
You see is Freeman on the catch. Freeman making the start today with Philip Lindsay's season ending. Lindsay, the first undrafted rookie selected to the Pro Bowl in 51 years, 1967. Could be the surprise player in the league this season, but underwent surgery on Friday, so Freeman getting a chance to start. And something Vance Joseph was looking forward to, just seeing what this kid can do with 20-plus attempts against this Chargers defense.
Extra offensive lineman here, so they're trying to run the ball at that Charger defense.
Little play action from Keenum up the seam, and it is complete. That's Patrick, who's putting together one of his better games of the season. Patrick quiet till this point. That's a 21-yard hook up there and a Denver first down. We talked about the Colorado kid, Philip Lindsay, whose season was abruptly ended last week, but You have to go back into the all-time history of this league. Not many undrafted players have the kind of season that this kid put together.
So much fun to watch and really carried this football team through their winning stretch.
Let's go 637. 637.
Lindsey still recovering from that surgery, so unable to attend today's game. As he looks ahead now to what will be a pretty lengthy rehab process. This is Freeman, the Oregon product. Denver had a lot of costly penalties with their offense in the first half. John Parry is our referee.
The holding calls are just devastating. Too many holding calls.
Holding, offense, number 89, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
That is the 6th holding penalty against Denver.
Too many mistakes, and again that time it was the tight end Brian Parker, and guess who he was lined up again? Joey Bosa, who just gives, whether it's a tight end or a tackle, he's just so fast that guys have no choice but to hang on for dear life.
Hey, alert, alert! We're going 150, 150. Florida, 140. Yeah, set.
Another pitch play to Freeman. And we spoke to Keenum this week, and he says, boy, yeah, getting that huddle looks a lot different than what it looked like in training camp and when this season began. Of course, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. It has been a struggle. He said, look, I've been through a lot in my career. Adversity is something I've always had to deal with in my football life, and he's developed some thick skin, but again, it has been a tough year for Keenum.
Yeah, 50 lines. Line sword.
Same could be said for Bill Musgrave, who's just tried to pick up the pieces as their offensive coordinator, just hasn't been able to come up with any answers. Booker over the middle. Desmond King was there, and it will be 3rd and long.
Well, when you look at their offense, especially with all the injuries, you know, as a defensive player, you always go into a game and say, who can hurt us? You know, who are the guys that we really have to watch? And right now, they don't have anybody. It was Phillip Lindsay. You go into each game and say, you know what, we've got to take out Lindsay. But right now, you know, you've got young, inexperienced players playing on that offense. So as a defense, they have nobody to stress anybody on the defense, and it makes it hard to move the ball.
Keenum steps up, throws, completes to Lacasse. They needed the Chargers 42, appears to be short. Hayes Pollard and Desmond King were there on the tackle. The loss of Emmanuel Sanders was really a backbreaker. The one guy who can really kind of take the top off and get down the field. Defenses were able to kind of load up the box against Lindsey prior to him going down at him last week. As now Garrett Bowles limps his way to the sideline.
And not just on the field, but I think emotionally, you know, the Chris Harris injury, you know, obviously huge impact on the field emotionally. Emmanuel Sanders, emotionally, one of your best players. And then again, for a guy like Lindsey, who had such a good season and carried this football team, for him to go out, not only their production on the field, but I think it took a real emotional toll on this Denver football team.
Colby Wadman has had a busy day so far. Fair catch signaled here by King. And tough starting field position for Phillip Rivers when we come back. 7-3 Chargers on CBS. The Chargers starting linebacker Jatavis Brown has been downgraded to out, so his day is over. It's an ankle injury, and you consider the injuries that they have had to deal with at linebacker. Denzel Perriman, season-ending injury week 10. And the rookie 4th-round pick, Kaiser White, also out for the season. And so they are very, very thin. This is Travis Benjamin, who has been quiet till this point. And the round play out to the 20-yard line, forced out of bounds by Bradley Roby. And so Anthony Lynn is going to hope that Brown will be available next week, as this Chargers defense that has had to deal with some key injuries this season, hoping for the best.
Especially when you consider, you know, the way things are kind of shaping up, that they might play the Baltimore Ravens again. And so what does that mean? That means your run defense. Now, you saw a taste of it last week, but the run defense, you need everybody that you can get, and Brown is a big part of that.
Chargers starters remain in the game. We'll see how Anthony Lynn handles this down the stretch, with Kansas City still up big at home against Oakland. Now, one thing Anthony Lynn's thinking about right now is getting his offense in gear. Rivers, worst game of the season last week, and that has gotten a little bit worse today with the 2 first-quarter interceptions. And an offense still looking for their first points. Rivers, that mastery and the command at the line of scrimmage. The handoff to Gordon. First down, running more. Gordon, a big physical runner. There is a flag thrown back behind the line of scrimmage. And we'll see if this first down run is coming
Holding.
back.
Offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty, replay. Second down.
That's Virgil Green, so it negates the first down run. Adam, what have you seen so far from Rivers as we go back to the replay?
Well, I just think that the Broncos are doing a really nice job of disguising their coverages, and they're playing tight coverage. And right now, I don't see a lot of juice on the ball from Rivers. You saw the first interception of the game on an outcut. The ball hung in the air a little bit too long. And even on his second interception, the ball just kind of floated in the air. So right now, they're just not in sync. And Rivers just not as sharp as he was in the middle of the season.
Rivers handing to Eckler, and Denver was not fooled. Bradley Chubb was there. Back to New York, JB and Boomer.
The magical Mahomes.
Well, I'll tell you what a throw here to Demarcus Robinson. This is going to be an 89-yard touchdown hookup between the two. This gives Patrick Mahomes 50 touchdowns. He's thrown for over 5,000 yards this season, the second ever quarterback to do that, along with Peyton Manning. Chiefs now lead 28-3.
Spiro, what more can you say?
That right there, Spiro, is what you want to look like going into the playoffs.
Well, certainly not what the Chargers look like at this point, struggling their way through this Week 17 matchup against Denver, as Rivers through a very tight space, finding Mike Williams for a first down connection.
And Mike Williams has made some big plays for the Chargers here down the stretch, and it's that right there. The ability to win the combat catches. Now, he's not going to be a great separator or a great route runner like Keenan Allen, but when he's right there one-on-one with a defensive back in a combat situation, those are the plays that he's been able to make. And if he can do that here in the playoffs 2 or 3 times a game, 2 big grabs like that, the offense is going to be hard to stop.
16-yard pass play to get him a fresh set of downs. Rivers protected well. That pass deflected at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. Domata Peko got his hands on it. So how about Mike Williams, the 7th overall pick in the 2017 draft? Going into his rookie year, had that herniated disc, missed all of his rookie training camp, didn't start practicing till a few weeks into the season. Last year was basically a wash, but this year he has come back. 9 touchdowns, Adam, entering Week 17.
Yeah, we already mentioned it, how big he was in that Kansas City game. And he is a down-the-field guy, a guy that Phillip Rivers on play action or getting the ball down the field in one-on-one situations with the confidence that when it's a contested catch in one-on-one, Williams is going to come down with that ball.
A double reverse here, and Denver not fooled. Williams buried. Shaquille Barrett and Jeff Holland were there for Denver.
Well, really well played on the outside by Holland, number 46. As he's going down the line of scrimmage, he recognizes it, that he sees number 81 is coming back, and then he shoots upfield, gets the penetration in the backfield, and makes that play. I mean, the offense for Denver has not played well, and that's probably to be expected. But today, this defense has come to play. They played with attitude, they played with energy, and here they are again, forcing a long third down.
Rivers on 3rd and 21, finding Gordon, just to get some of it back. Gordon, the stiff arm, breaking the initial tackle. He'll be well short of the first down marker as he's run out of bounds by Will Parks. Well, this kid, Jeff Holland, the rookie linebacker, whom they did not promote from their practice squad until back to Week 13. Getting a good look here down the stretch. I like him so much that Shane Ray is a healthy scratch for a 3rd straight week. Big play by Holland in this Denver defense. And meantime, the struggles for Phillip Rivers and the Chargers offense continue. Los Angeles, if you've just joined us, just 9 first downs till this point. Marker down with Donnie Jones on a booming kick. Craig Kraft fielding. And well played down the field by Austin Eckler. Able to get him around the ankles.
I think we might have an illegal defensive alignment here by the Denver Broncos.
52-yard punt by Jones. Signed in early October by General Manager Tom Telesco and the Chargers.
But if they do call that, I don't think it's a valid call.
There's 2 fouls in the play. The 4th down play will be replayed. Illegal formation on the receiving team, covering up the center. Player out of bounds voluntarily on the kicking team, number 30. Fouls will offset 4th down.
Illegal formation, you can't cover the center, but to me it looks like the Broncos are in the clear. They are both
number 35.
outside. They're both outside the shoulders of the long snapper, but nonetheless a repunt.
Long snapper for the Chargers, Mike Wint, their longtime snapper. And so Donnie Jones will redo it, standing right around his own 25-yard line. Good looking punt, and the fair catch signaled here by Craycraft. 7-3 Chargers on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right. Subway, now delivering to your front door. And by Honda. Hurry into the Happy Honda Days sales event today.
Well, beautiful pictures high above Mile High here in Denver. And look at what is happening right now in the AFC. All Chiefs at home over the Raiders. A win by Kansas City gives them the #1 seed and home field throughout the AFC West Championship. As a disappointing season continues, you saw John Elway upstairs in his suite. This is Freeman running right. And of course, the first big decision that Elway will have to make is what to do with his head coach, Vance Joseph. Our own Jason La Canfora reporting during the NFL Today that the Broncos will, in fact, be making a change. And Adam, they've had such stability here with their head coaches. Last Broncos head coach who lasted 2 seasons or less, you'd have to go all the way back to 93-94. Wade Phillips, who of course returned triumphantly. That football came out. Let's see what the officials say here. And it will be Chargers football. It lands into the lap of Joey Bosa. Incredible.
Yeah, I want to say this is Adrian Phillips, is the guy who was fighting here at the end of the tackle. Watch number 31. He gets both hands on the ball and then just rips it out. Boy, what a job again. We've been singing the praises of this defense. If there's one area that they had to get better at, was taking the ball away. They did a really good job in the first half of the season. Only one coming into this game. One takeaway in the last 3 games. But here today has really showed up against, well, let's just face it, it's a struggling offense, but this is what you're supposed to do against struggling offenses. As you were saying, Spiro, we'll have plenty of time to get back into that, I would say.
Well, can Rivers get anything going with their offense after the 6th combined turnover in this game? 3 apiece. Under the 6-minute mark, 3rd quarter. Here's Rivers, 9 of 18 for only 113 yards. No touchdowns and the 2 interceptions. The handoff here to Gordon. It was Gordon with his 2nd game since coming back from the knee injury that cost him 3 games. First time in 6 weeks that the Chargers have their top 2 running backs healthy, Gordon and Eckler. As Gordon told us yesterday how excited he is to experience his first NFL postseason next week.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's a special thing to get into the playoffs, but you do have to have some concerns here with how the Chargers have played here. Not at their best going into the postseason.
Gordon season low 54 yards from scrimmage last week. Maybe the only silver lining, Arch, is that the 3 games gave him a chance to kind of step back mend his body a little bit, and both of these guys will have fresh legs next week as this offense looks to find some chemistry.
That is a plus, but as we've seen today and as we saw last week, there's not a lot of holes up front. I think the Broncos here today are playing a lot of extra safeties in the box, and so far Rivers has not been able to capitalize with one-on-one coverage. Keenan Allen in a stack formation to Rivers' right. Watch that combination.
Rivers on 3rd and 3, completes, and it will be 1st and goal Chargers. Tyrell Williams on the catch. For Williams, his 2nd reception of the day for 23 yards as the Chargers knocking on the door.
He's their deep guy and their crossing guy with great speed. Really improved his ability to catch the contested ball, but one of the very few 3rd downs today where the Chargers have had a pretty short to medium situation, and they get their 2nd 3rd down conversion on the day out of 8 attempts.
Chargers have converted their last 2 3rd down conversion attempts. 1st and goal. Fake handoff, Rivers to the end zone. It's Williams for the touchdown. Number 10 for Williams on the season. And finally, the Chargers offense able to get into the end zone.
Such a good play and so hard to defend. Hard play action. And watch the reaction here. Heavy run by Darian Stewart, and that's what opens up the middle. And this is a quick release, quick decision by Rivers. And he sees outside. There is absolutely no chance by Yadam, who is playing outside leverage.
For Rivers, his 44th career touchdown pass against the Denver Broncos. That is the most in franchise history. As is the case with every scoring play, that has to be confirmed by the replay booth in New York. And it certainly appeared to be a catch from that vantage point by Williams.
Not bad. 10 touchdowns on the season. And his name is not Keenan Allen.
Now, Williams has been so huge. He's given them another physical pass catcher, especially after the ACL tear sustained in May by Hunter Henry, their highly talented young tight end who is very close to a potential return. Here was the fumble. Adrian Phillips able to jar it loose. Bosa the recovery, and then Rivers to Williams for their first offensive touchdown. Chargers build on their lead. This is the postseason scenario for Los Angeles, needing an Oakland win over Kansas City to have a chance at the AFC West crown and that 1 seed. But at the moment, looks like the Chargers are headed to that 5th seed. Speaking of which, let's take a stroll down memory lane. Super Bowl 42, Eli Manning to David Tyree for one of the most iconic catches in Super Bowl history. Manning later to Plaxico Burress for the game winner as the Giants would upset the Patriots, entered that game to New England undefeated. That was the last time a 5th seeded team won the Super Bowl. And of course, a reminder, Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta will be right here on CBS. And only one 5 seed has won the Super Bowl since 1990. And that was those 2007 New York Giants. Green Bay in 2010, of course, was a 6 seed going on to win the Super Bowl. But Adam, if everything holds as it is at the moment, as you see Jaleel Adai a little bit slow to get to his feet, it will be the Chargers in Baltimore to take on the Ravens next week. But Ravens, of course, having to take care of business right now. Their lead over Cleveland is down. Oh, now they've hit a field goal and they're up by 9. So Adai is being tended to here by the medical staff. We'll step aside.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. Possibilities, what we deliver by delivering. And by Farmers Insurance.
Back with you from Denver. The Grinch stole Christmas here for the Broncos, that's for sure. As a very frustrating season coming to a close for Denver. Right now down 14-3 against the LA Chargers. Case Keenum under center as they have it 2nd and 1 from just inside their own 35. Here is Freeman, the workhorse today in the absence of Phillip Lindsay, as he lunges forward to the first down. Well, we started to get into the big decision that John Elway has to make. Of course, the reports that this will be Vance Joseph's final game. Such stability at the head coaching position here, but if in fact Joseph is out, Adam, it would be the 4th head coaching search on Elway's watch.
Head coach and quarterback, that's the 2 most important positions that this football team has been looking for. And just in general, I think it's really tough, and I don't like when coaches get fired after 1 season or 2 seasons. It's just not enough time to implement your program.
Looked like Jared Veldier.
Ball start, offense, number 66, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Update time. Back to New York. James Brown and Boomer.
What else can you say, Boom?
I don't know. The Chiefs got it all going on right now. Here's the jet sweep to number 10. That's Tyreek Hill, the fastest guy in the NFL. He's ridiculous. They're ridiculous. They are having quite the party at Arrowhead right now. They extend their lead 35-3 over the Raiders.
Ciro, they're just having fun.
Just having fun, kind of like you and I.
Yes,
right?
it's been a great year.
Are me and you?
I don't know if we've had that much fun.
Are we the Mahomes and Hill version of the broadcast booth today?
We wish. As the Chiefs close in on that 1 seed in the AFC postseason, Keenum somehow escapes and gets it to his man. That is Patrick. A magic trick by Keenum on that play. Able to evade the initial sack. Looked like Darius Philon was the man who had Keenum in his grasp, but it turns out to be a pickup of 14 to set up a 2nd and short. Now, of course, the other big decision that the Broncos will have to make, whether it's this offseason or next, will be what to do at the quarterback position. Is Case Keenum your long-term answer at quarterback? Sign that 2-year deal, $25 million guaranteed, that $36 million deal. As he hands here to Freeman, unable to wiggle free as he is inside of Chargers territory. Of course, they've been searching for their quarterback as they pick up a first down since the retirement of Peyton Manning, Adam, after that 2015 Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that certainly has had an effect on the job status as Vance Joseph as well. But look, if you're asking, is Case Keenum a top 5 quarterback? No, he's not. But is he a quarterback that if you have a strong team around him, then can he win some games? Absolutely. I don't know if because of the circumstances this year you can sit here and say that Case Keenum is not our guy. He does have to play better, but the circumstances around the offense as the season has gone on has just been too much.
Well, Patrick not helping out his quarterback on that play, right through his hands. Perfect pass by Keenum.
Another drop by these young Denver wide receivers. It's hard to get open, and it's hard to get separation in the National Football League. And when you do, and the quarterback can put it on you, you've got to be able to make that catch. And we've seen a couple drops that could have led to some first downs or touchdowns today by this young wide receiving core.
Well, ugly looking play as Bosa just buries Keenum. There is a marker thrown. Looked to be some movement perhaps right before the ball was snapped, but that was a disaster right from the start.
Yeah, well, Jared Veldier didn't even get out of his stance. That had to be.
Looks like the officials have picked up the flag with 20 seconds left in the quarter.
What a catastrophe. I mean, half of the Broncos offensive line didn't even get out of their stance. Another mistake and another miscommunication allows Joey Bosa to tee off on Keenum.
Will be the final play of the quarter, 3rd and 14. Keenum under pressure again, completes. This is Booker. Will be well short of the first down as that takes us to the end of the quarter. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Just another mistake that has plagued this offense here, especially in the last 3 weeks. This miscommunication on the snap count. It didn't look like the rest of the offensive line was ready for the snap. It certainly didn't look like Keenum was ready for the snap. Jared Veldier does not get off in time and could have been a disaster, but that allows Bosa to just tee off on Keenum.
Connor McGovern, the starting center for them since the season-ending injury of Matt Paradis back in Week 9. McGovern converting over from right guard as the Broncos once again will punt, and perfectly done by Wadman down the field. And well played for the Broncos. Well, it certainly hasn't been pretty for Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Finally able to get into the end zone for the first time with their offense. Kyle Emanuel, the defensive score to get them on the board first. 6 combined turnovers and a ton of penalties between these two teams.
Not a great showcase. They're not going to pull much offensive clinic tape out of this game from either of these offenses, but I would imagine that after this drive, Anthony Lynn has to start to make the decision now to let some other guys play and let Rivers and company get some rest.
Rivers letting it rip, and he slings it to Keenan Allen, and that is the decision that Anthony Lynn has to make here with Kansas City up big. Chiefs will be the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs. So what do you do if you're Lynn? Do you risk injury? Your team's not really clicking right now.
I think that's the problem. If best case scenario is that they came out, started this game much like the Chiefs, and so you get your offense in a rhythm, everybody's feeling great about themselves, and then you kind of rest up in the second half of the game. But I still think he wants to see the offense execute, because they just simply haven't been able to do that here for the last 2 games.
Chargers clinching their first postseason berth in 5 years. 2013, that was Mike McCoy's first season as Chargers head coach. Gordon able to lunge forward just outside the 30-yard line, tackled by Shelby Harris. Now it's looking more and more like the Chargers will have a very treacherous path, potentially 3 road games that will likely begin next weekend in Baltimore in the wild card round.
Yeah, only 166 total net yards today from the LA Charger offense, that, as we've been saying over and over again, was one of the more high-powered offenses throughout the season here, and certainly one of Rivers' best seasons, if not best seasons, of his career.
Certainly in the MVP conversation. That's a low snap and a live ball, so Rivers, nothing to do but fall on it. As the raggedness offensively continues.
Ugly. It's right between Phillip Rivers' legs. Low snap, and boy, oh boy.
Well, Mike Pouncey is headed to his 4th Pro Bowl. What an acquisition he has been for the Chargers, coming over in free agency.
You know what we haven't seen a lot of today is Pouncey pulling and getting outside. The Chargers have a terrific perimeter running game, and a big reason for that is because of Pouncey's athletic ability, but they haven't challenged the Broncos on the edge.
Rivers' pass is incomplete. Looking in the direction of Antonio Gates for the first time today, and you can see the frustration on the face of Rivers. And Adam, you have to think the biggest concern right now, if you're Anthony Lynn, is his offensive line, especially considering a potential matchup against that vaunted Ravens defense.
It is, but first I want to talk about the job of Will Parks here covering Antonio Gates. Love his technique. And what he does is he doesn't allow Gates to contact him with his body. If you allow Gates to bump you off with his body, that's how he creates that separation. Good coverage and good pressure up front from the Broncos defensive line.
Parks, who had the interception earlier, has put together a fine day here for this Denver defense. 41 yards on the punt by Donnie Jones on CBS. Aerial coverage of today's game being brought to you by State Farm. Sun has set here in one of the most beautiful cities in America, Denver, Colorado. Downtown, 14-3 Chargers. We've seen 2 defenses really come to play today, and the offenses struggle. Not a huge surprise, especially not for the Broncos, as Keenan to the air, and it is caught. That's the rookie Courtland Sutton, who has gone from #3 wide receiver for Denver to their #1 guy over the last 9 weeks.
Well, this is really what Sutton does best, one-on-one, and the way he uses his body. The way he uses his body right now is his best attribute.
So pick up 14 yards. I beg your pardon, make it 25 on the catch by Sutton, as Freeman is able to duck inside the 30-yard line. Well, you know how Anthony Lynn feels right now about his team. His starters on both sides of the ball still in the game, with Kansas City all but having locked up the #1 seed in the AFC. Trying to build some kind of momentum before their postseason bid begins next week on the road, likely, as Freeman with a first down catch covered on the play by Michael Davis. There's Anthony Lynn, has them back into the postseason. We're nearly there last season. It's a disastrous 0-4 start. They were able to fight their way back and finished just on the outside looking in, but that look on his face says it all. Struggle of a day for Rivers for a second straight week. He's still shaking his head on the sideline. Here's Booker. Brought down right at the line of scrimmage, and it will be second down coming up. Adam, we started to talk about the Chargers' offensive line. Obviously, Rivers not playing well, the offense struggling, but the offensive line is really going to have to figure some things out before the potential game with the Ravens next week.
Well, they haven't given up any sacks today, but there has been pressure up inside, and the Broncos have been able to really push the pocket on Rivers. Last week it was the blitz that overwhelmed the Chargers, and the week before it was Chris Jones that had his way with these guys.
Janovich will stroll into the end zone for the Denver touchdown. Untouched. 20 yards on the catch and run, and here comes Denver.
A drop in coverage. Janovich is the fullback, and he's going to run a wheel out of the backfield. And the Chargers, somebody from the underneath coverage has to take him. One of the safeties or the linebacker is responsible for the back out of the flat. Wide open, coverage bust, and Keenum spots the mistake and throws the touchdown.
Vance Joseph says let's go for two for Andy Janovich, his first career touchdown catch in his third season out of Nebraska. Keenum throws a dart, and it is intercepted in the end zone by Hayward. It's a live play. Hayward can return it for 2 points, able to stay in bounds, and Casey Hayward all the way back into the end zone for the Chargers, and it is 2 points.
Just incredible play by Casey Hayward. No interceptions this year. He has been a ball hawk with 20 career interception, but he takes the ball from Cortland Sutton, fights for it, and then goes 99 yards for the 2 points.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year. KFC, it's finger-licking good. And by the Home Depot, more saving, more doing.
I'm back with you here in Denver, 16-9. Officially a 102-yard return by Casey Hayward, who was an All-Pro each of the last 2 years. Has kind of had a quiet season this year.
It's his first interception.
Now this one will be down in the end zone. Touchback by Desmond King as we go back to the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, and this has been Sutton's forte, but Hayward jumps right in front of it and then just wrestles the ball from the rookie. And then he goes, what'd you say, 102 yards and straight to the bench for a little bit of oxygen. Running at altitude, but just a heck of a play. And it shows you why he's been an All-Pro. As I mentioned, 20 career interceptions, 0 this year, but a playmaker. And this Chargers secondary is filled with playmakers and guys that can take the ball away.
Quick handoff here to the fullback. That's Derek Watt. He's quietly become one of the better fullbacks in the NFL. Third-year guy out of Wisconsin, a kid that they took with the 6th-round pick back in 2016. Of course, younger brother of J.J. and older brother of T.J. Watt, the young defensive star for the Steelers.
Chose the less glamorous position of fullback, where the other two are pass rushers. Come on, man.
I wouldn't say that those two are tougher than Derek. He's a football player.
How do you choose fullback?
Blue collar kid. Here is Gordon, gaping hole. Gordon hasn't had a lot to run through today. Just 33 rushing yards before that take, and we'll see if this one's coming back with multiple flags thrown. It's a 17-yard run by Gordon, and now, oh boy, he's limping to the sideline.
I think that he got horse collared. And
holding offense number 13, 10-yard penalty replay. Second down.
Well, that's Keenan Allen.
It looked like the Broncos, they pulled him down by the back of his jersey. That's Josie Jewell right there, and
oh boy,
I was mistaken. And look how Jewell just kind of lands on that left ankle. And we kind of said it, a couple drives ago, that maybe Anthony Lynn has to consider taking some guys out, and that's the reason why. Because having a healthy Melvin Gordon for the playoffs is paramount to the Chargers winning that wild card matchup.
Gordon, their most indispensable offensive player. Absolutely need him at full strength next week, and we'll see if that'll kind of change Anthony Lynn's mind here down the stretch and start to get his starters out. Here's Eckler. Eckler breaking the initial tackle, able to wiggle free. So slippery in the open field as Austin Eckler, inside Denver territory, finally forced out of bounds by Todd Davis, a pickup of 41.
Well, he is a slippery one outside, and Tremaine Brock has to make that play. One-on-one on the outside, it's just you and the running back. And Eckler, as he has done all season in one-on-one situations, makes Brock miss, and another big play. Two big running plays in a row. The first one by Gordon, and now another one by Eckler, and all of a sudden, Phillip Rivers is on the 27-yard line.
Longest run of the season for Eckler. Here he is again. Eckler, who is a Colorado kid, he grew up on a ranch just outside of Eaton, Colorado. That's about an hour's drive northeast of where we are here in downtown Denver. He's been an underdog his whole football life. Zero interest from any Division I schools out of high school. And, a lot about this kid, Anthony Lynn, really understood. Lynn, kind of a blue-collar running back coming up. Someone that he has related to. Eckler making the team last year as an undrafted kid, played such an integral role in their near run to a postseason berth. And he'll have a chance to catch his breath here. Justin Jackson, the rookie, is onto the field. Rivers on 2nd and 8 to the end zone. Allen. It is a catch short of the end zone. Remarkable grab by Allen. There is a marker thrown back around the line of scrimmage. Tremaine Brock was the man on the coverage. Allen going way down for the catch.
Tripping. Offense. Number 32. 10-yard penalty replay. Second down.
Justin Jackson, and another big offensive play negated.
Well, unbelievable play here. Negates the big bomb by Rivers. Jackson, and they call him for tripping. So what he does is he goes low to cut the blitzing linebacker, and then he goes to the ground, he kind of whips his leg, and that's where they call tripping. So you get the cut by number 32, and then watch what he does with his left leg, and that's a good call. That's a dangerous play right there. Beautiful effort outside by Keenan Allen, but bad pass protection, and you bring it back.
Would have been a 24-yard completion and a first down goal to go for the Chargers. As you see Gordon getting that left ankle retaped. 2nd and 18. It's a one-score game. Rivers over the middle, and it is caught. It's a battle between Mike Williams and I believe that's Isaac Yadam for Denver.
It's the second time today that
yes, it is.
Williams has been able to beat Yadam in tight coverage over the middle. Watch this effort.
It's a 14-yard pickup What a catch by Williams.
That's amazing. That is an amazing catch. I don't know how he caught that. That was really good coverage by Yadam, but, you know, that's the strength of Mike Williams and what he brings to that offense.
Well within the range here of Michael Badgley, 3rd and 4.
Yeah, watch Eckler out of the backfield.
Rivers under duress. It's caught. Allen inside the 5. He lunges end zone. No signal yet, and appears to be short. There is a flag thrown again. Marker thrown at the 10-yard line of Denver.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 29. Penalties declined. Result of the play, 1st and goal.
It's on Bradley Roby, so it's a 21-yard completion. And 1st and goal, Los Angeles.
Isn't it amazing? Look what the running game does to the offense. You had a big run by Gordon. Now he's hurt on the sideline. You had a big run by Eckler. And then you see the 2 best throws from Rivers today. First, the corner route to Allen that was brought back by a penalty. And then another strike as Allen is coming open over the middle, and he hits him in stride. And that was all brought on by the 2 big running plays on this drive, their most productive runs of the game.
Chargers go 2 tight ends. Eckler. No signal yet. Very close. Touchdown. Little Austin Eckler, the Colorado kid, able to force his way into the end zone. First rushing touchdown against the Broncos in their last 10 meetings.
Good, powerful run up inside, right behind Mike Pouncey and Michael Schofield. You got two Denver Bronco linebackers make contact, and he just uses that leverage, gets underneath their pads, and scores the touchdown. What a drive right there. But it might be bittersweet because Melvin Gordon is sitting there on the sideline with his ankle taped.
Still nothing official from the Chargers on Gordon. They didn't look at him for very long, and then Gordon got retaped, was up with his helmet on, so hopefully nothing too serious for Gordon. As Badgley's point after is right down the middle. Austin Eckler, 3rd rushing touchdown of the season, and the Chargers build on their lead. 23-9 Chargers after the little touchdown run here by Austin Eckler. But the bigger concern is the ankle of Melvin Gordon. It was retaped. It's his left ankle. 2nd game back since missing the 3 games with the injury to his MCL in the knee. This is River Craig Kraft trying to find a seam. Out of bounds. The football came loose. Did that stay in? And who's got it? Chargers football.
Man. How did that ball stay in?
Brandon Faison on the recovery. Turnover number 4 for Denver.
Yeah, I think it's Desmond King, number 20. How does that ball stay in?
That right there may perfectly summarize the season for Denver.
Okay, does he get possession? He has possession with 1 foot in bounds, and I think that's going to stand. But what a play by Desmond King. And look at the ball just stop like there's a magnet. Oh, man.
All right, let's get you updated on the AFC playoff picture. The Kansas City Chiefs have defeated the Oakland Raiders, so they have won the West, and they are locked in now as the #1 seed with home field advantage throughout the AFC, and that means that the Chargers are locked in as the 5 seed and will begin their postseason bid on the road next weekend, likely in Baltimore. Right now, the Ravens in front of the Cleveland Browns in that game with about 6 and change remaining, 26-17. And it looks like Phillip Rivers' afternoon is done.
Well, in Gus Bradley and the Chargers, They got a little taste, and I think last week it was a good thing that they were able to see it up close and personal and learn from those mistakes, because right now the Ravens, I want to say they have 293 rushing yards against that Cleveland Brown football team, and you better believe nobody has figured out how to stop this offense, led by Lamar Jackson, Kenneth Dixon, and Gus Edwards. Gus Bradley and this team is going to have their hands full as they get ready for a huge game next week.
Well, here's Geno Smith, signed a one-year free agent deal in April to become Phillip Rivers' backup. Backs up Eli Manning with the Giants last season, as Justin Jackson on the take. Jermaine Brock on the tackle. You talk about just how big that Baltimore victory over the Chargers was last week. Chargers had the inside track heading into that game to the West title and home field advantage, but the Ravens not only won that game, but they really handled the Chargers 22-10. And it looks like those two teams are on a collision course in the wild card matchup next week in Baltimore. That ball comes loose. No official signal yet. Appears to be a live ball, as Smith's hand was not yet going forward, or was it? Oh, it is a fumble and recovered by Denver. Von Miller with the recovery.
I don't think that play is going to go down on Geno Smith's greatest hits. Ball just slips out of his hands. And the Broncos.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by Denver. After the fumble recovery by Denver, personal foul, number 94. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That is the 8th combined turnover in this game. 8.
That's some sloppy offensive football. But, you know, going back to the, potential Ravens matchup, it's going to be really going to be fun to watch, because I believe this is going to be the first time a football team has had 2 cracks at Lamar Jackson, and it's going to be within 2 weeks of each other. So really interested to see what Bradley and company do to try and slow down that train, which, we don't know. Jatavis Brown, is he going to be healthy? Not a lot of linebackers, but a fascinating challenge.
This is Matt Lacoste. Jatavis Brown left this game with an ankle injury. So the Chargers have been hit hard at linebacker. Now, you're right about Lamar Jackson. And look, we've seen great running quarterbacks in the NFL over the years. Of course, Mike Vick comes to mind. You had to face guys like Vick. As Denver lines up here for 2nd and 2. Keenum again underneath. This one is incomplete. What kind of challenges does a kid like Jackson pose?
Well, it's hard is, defense is all about, what do I do with my extra guy? Do I put him in coverage? Do I blitz him? Do I play him up like a linebacker? Do I double a wide receiver? Defenses and defensive coordinators have an extra guy to play with, and that's what coming up with the defense is. Now, against that, the extra guy accounts for the quarterback. And so it makes the defense have to simplify their looks. And as you pay attention to that quarterback, now all of a sudden you start to forget about the other things, and Lamar Jackson hits you with a big throw down the sideline. So an interesting and difficult offense that you have to defend.
It's Deshaun Hamilton on the first down catch, a pickup of 11. You do bring up an interesting point. Maybe the advantage that Gus Bradley has is having seen the Ravens just last week. So you've got some film on him. You've seen him up close and personal, but
hopefully not surprised by his throwing ability, because that's what got him last week.
It was really the first time we've seen Jackson kind of air it out and prove that he can, in fact, beat you with his arm as well. And so what a potential matchup that would be between the Chargers and Ravens in Baltimore next weekend.
Now, it's not sustainable. Certainly it's not sustainable long term, but the Ravens only need about 3 more games from Jackson to kind of pull off this magic. So, as I kind of sit back and I look at the entire playoff field, this might be shaping up to be one of the best postseasons that we've seen here in recent memory. So many teams with some really intriguing options out there, and I can't wait for next week.
This will be a 3rd and 1 here. Keenum firing to the far side, and it will be incomplete in the direction of Tim Patrick. No surprise here. It looks like Vance Joseph will keep his offense on the field. This could very well be the end of the road for Vance Joseph. What has been a heartily disappointing 2 seasons in Denver. Was such a hot coaching prospect coming over after his couple of years stint in Miami as their defensive coordinator. Such high hopes. Last year, of course, didn't go as well as they had hoped. Inherited a very difficult situations. Just 5 wins last year. This year tempered, kind of measured expectations at the start of the season. Hamilton on the catch. And Denver, lest we forget, started 2-0 this year. Everything seemed to be going well, and then that just ragged 1-6 stretch. People were talking about Vance maybe on the hot seat already, middle of the season. Figured it out, dug themselves out of the hole. But 3 straight losses against teams with losing records. We'll have the Broncos on the outside looking in again. That's Freeman on the catch with 2 and change remaining.
It's always interesting. I mentioned earlier, I think it's always a little unfair to fire a guy after 1 or 2 seasons. But the question now becomes, who are you going to replace him with? Because, if it's a first-time head coach, you're going to roll the dice, and you don't know if he's going to be any good or not. Let's just face it. And if you hire a so-called established or a big-name coach who probably has a strong opinion on how he wants to run his football team, now are they going to bump heads with John Elway in the front office? So it's a difficult, interesting situation and decision that John Elway has on how he wants to approach who the next guy is, if in fact all the rumors are true and Vance Joseph is going to be done.
You saw Gary Kubiak alongside Elway upstairs. Has stayed on an integral part of their management team in the front office. Of course, their Super Bowl head coach here a couple of years ago. That's a brilliant run, 5 straight division championships, culminating with the Super Bowl win in 2015. Then Peyton Manning walks out the door, and they are still trying to figure things out here in Denver.
They ran through 3 quarterbacks last season, and again, I don't think, nobody is comparing Case Keenum to Peyton Manning. And certainly that wouldn't be fair to Keenum. But I can hardly say that the roster has been strong enough to support him to be the quarterback that he was supposed to be this year. Now, there's no doubt that Keenum has to play better, but he did have some stretches where he showed that he can, in fact, get the job done. So it's going to be utterly fascinating to see how they approach those 2 decisions here in the offseason and how the Broncos look next year.
Keenum towards the end zone looking for River Craycraft. First-year kid out of Washington State. Desmond King was there. And we'll see what the penalty call is from John Parry.
At the snap, illegal motion. Offense number 81. Penalties declined. 1st and 10, Los Angeles.
That could be the final play before the 2-minute warning. Well, they call tomorrow Black Monday around the NFL, and we'll see what happens. Guys like Mike McCarthy waiting in the wings.
Hey, it's
not a fun time of year.
It's a tough business, no doubt. But you know how much work has been put into it. You know how much work that Vance Joseph and his staff, and you never like to see people lose their jobs, but this is a production business and you are judged by your records. But I do feel for the coaches that aren't going to have jobs here by the end of the week.
2-minute warning in Denver. The Chargers will be the 5 seed in the playoffs.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by USAA, official NFL salute to service partner. And by Verizon. The best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network.
Final 2 minutes here in Denver. Boy, I tell you what, some interesting scores right now around the NFL. The Ravens' lead over Cleveland is down to 2 points, 26-24. And how about the Steelers? Up 3 late over Cincinnati. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, Pittsburgh would win the North, and they would face the Chargers next week.
Who do you think the Chargers want to see, Spiro?
That's a tough one to take. Ravens, of course, red hot. That's a good question. Is Justin Jackson is taken down by Josie Jewell. So still things left to be determined in the AFC, and maybe what Philip Rivers is talking to Melvin Ingram about. Looks like a timeout taken here by Vance Joseph in Denver. So 1:55 remaining, and Denver down to 2 timeouts. Well, this is what the playoff picture looks like at the moment. We've touched on New England clinching a first-round bye. Houston winning the AFC South. They likely will be the 3 seed, but right now it comes down to the Ravens and the Steelers. Chargers are locked in at 5. Of course, Indianapolis, Tennessee in a winner-take-all game coming up in Sunday Night Football. But again, if the Ravens lose to Cleveland and Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati, it will be the Chargers against the Steelers next week, as Pittsburgh would be the AFC North champs. And that would be something. Steelers, of course, with the back-breaking loss last week against the Saints. As we get a delay of game call here against the Chargers.
3rd down.
Now, one thing about the Chargers, Arch, they have been one of the better teams on the road in the NFL this season. They win today. They'll finish with a 7-1 road record, and that would tie them with the Saints for the best road mark in the NFL. Of course, you talk to the Chargers, they'll tell you that every game feels like a road game for them.
But what it shows is that
they are battle tested.
Yeah, they are a mentally tough football team that, you know, has been able to win some really challenging games against some really good football teams. So
football comes loose again. Smith a fumble earlier. Von Miller was there, and it looks like the Chargers have recovered.
Back to the Chargers, you know, Anthony Lynn knows that they've got to play better than they've played in the last 2 weeks. That if they play the way they did today and they play the way they did last week.
Holding, defense for 41, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Then they're not going to get very far. And so there is a lot of work to do here on both sides of the football. Gus Bradley trying to figure out whether it's, you know, most likely the Baltimore Ravens, but even though the Pittsburgh offense, and then Anthony Lynn has to find out how to get some rhythm and how to get some consistency and limit the mistakes that he's seen from his offense here in the last 2 games.
They'll keep it on the ground. The Jackson breaking a couple of tackles as the Chargers closing in on what will be their 12th win of the season. That'll be their most wins in a season since 2009. Also the last time they won the AFC West. As we get an injured Bronco here. Boy, you hate to see this with just a $141 left in their season.
The worst thing that can happen in a Week 17 game is having a bad injury.
That's Darian Stewart.
Charge timeout, Denver. 30-second timeout.
Of course, has been such a key piece for this Denver defense. Stewart, 26. Right in the middle of your screen. Boy, got kind of his neck wrenched with Von Miller coming over. And the obvious frustration by Stewart as he makes his way to the sideline.
Tight. 40. Hey, we go set. Grenade! That's it.
This is Jackson again. And Arch, you know, for the Chargers, you always kind of go back to Rivers. The one thing that drives him at this stage of his career, the lack of postseason success. 5 postseason appearances in his career, only a 4-5 record. He, of course, got them to the AFC Championship game in 2007, that game that he kind of famously played with that partial tear of his ACL. But he's got to, you know, put it together in the postseason. Really, the only thing missing from his resume.
That's what it's all about. There is nothing like the postseason, especially, you know, you win that first game and just all the energy and the excitement. And he's put together, you know, maybe his best season. Now, one thing to note, if you're a believer in this number, his quarterback rating has consistently gone down in each of the last 5 games. So, again, you know, hopefully they can get some balance back into this. The running game can make an appearance next week, and the Chargers get back to where they were at midseason.
Well, the only thing left to be determined now for Rivers and the Chargers is who they will face next week. Ravens still up 26-24 late against Cleveland, with the Browns holding possession. Unbelievable if Baker Mayfield can get the Browns a late win to play spoiler. And the Steelers have defeated Cincinnati 16-13.
The whole state, the whole city of Pittsburgh is chanting Baker, Baker, Baker right now.
Chargers, of course, had that thrilling come-from-behind win over the Steelers in Pittsburgh back in Week 13. And so they are familiar with both of those teams. The loss at home to the Ravens last week, as they will very quickly get on a plane, head west, and begin preparations for their wild card game next weekend. Adam, it was a fun season, brother.
It has, man. Had a great time, as always, and see you on the other side, brother.
The LA Chargers get to 12 wins and will be the 5 seed in the AFC playoffs. Your final 23-9 in Denver. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by back-to-back episodes of The Neighborhood, plus God Friended Me and SWAT. For Adam Archuleta, Spiro Dinas saying so long from Denver, now to James Brown in New York.